Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to Predatory Exotics. So, this is going to be the first reptile room of 2024.
You might be used to watching a lot of American reptile room tours, but today we're going to look at what we keep in a UK reptile room tour because there's quite a few different species and hopefully you enjoy it.
Yeah, so we've got lots of different reptiles to show you guys in this video. So we're going to get started. We're going to start off with this racking here.
So we're kicking off with our first reptile in the room, and this is a rarely seen species in the UK and the US hobby. This is a wedge-snouted skink, Chalcides sepsoides. They're from North Africa and the Middle East, so a really arid environment. And as you can see, they have tiny little legs and they're fossorial species. So they pretty much swim through the sand. And we have a little colony here. We have bred them previously in the past, which is a really cool achievement for us here at Predatory Exotics. But they're super cool with their specialized nose, the wedge-snouted skink. Rarely get to see them, but a cool addition to our reptile room.
So moving on to one of the first snakes that we're going to show you today. This is our male Nuevo Leon king snake, and this is the milk snake phase. Now, if you guys can't tell, this is a colubrid and very similar to a corn snake. So if you guys are in the market for something that's similar, this might be the one for you.
So in this tank to my right, we have the newest species in the reptile room. This is a binose gecko. We have a pair from Australia, but you don't really need a pair because they're actually a parthenogenic species. So that means they're pretty much all female and they lay eggs which are fertilized. So hopefully in the future, we get some little clones of binose geckos because they're a super cool species and really underrated in the hobby.
So moving on down to the bottom row, this is our jeweled sand gecko, also known as the June gecko, most commonly known as Stenodactylus. Now, this is actually one of the first micro species we got here at Predatory Exotics, and we've actually managed to produce about 20 different babies. They all come in a variety of colors, but we've pulled out the best and brightest one for you today. So yeah, these guys are super cool. I know Tom has a great liking for micro geckos, and there's a few more to show you around the room.
So here we have, in my opinion, the coolest species of micro gecko. This is a viper gecko. They're found in Pakistan, and they're super cool species, sometimes referred to as the turnip tail gecko because of that fat tail. They've got so much personality, and we're lucky enough to have a pair. We have done some breeding with them, but we haven't had the best success at the moment. They're just super cool geckos with their big scales and their golden eyes.
So this is our female Nuevo Leon king snake, and as you can tell, looks a lot different to the other one. That's because the one before was the milk phase, this is the variable phase, and then the only one that we're missing in our collection is the melanistic phase. Now these guys actually come from Mexico, so that's why we've got quite a themed tank over here. So don't forget to check out how Tom made this tank.
So next up, we arguably have one of the prides of our collection. This is our adult female Tartar Sandboa. This is a super rare species to find in UK and even probably worldwide collections. It's the second largest species of Sandboa, with the females getting to about 3.5 foot. She's about 5 years old, and we do have a male that you'll see later in the video, that we have tried to pair with her, and we'll try it again. But it's a super cool species, and honestly we're so lucky to have this in our collection because it's a really rare species and something we're so proud to show off, and we get to do so many cool videos with this big girl.
Now moving on to what we consider a staple of a reptile room, a bearded dragon. Now this is actually, fun fact, one of our rescue bearded dragons. So you can go ahead and see what this bearded dragon used to look like compared to what it looks like now. She's doing so much better. This is Bondi, the bearded dragon. As you guys know, these come from Australia. These are one of the most commonly kept reptiles in the reptile community, and it's always a cool one to have in your collection.
So next up we have our house snake. House snakes are becoming more and more popular as time goes on, as people find alternatives for corn snakes. And this is actually a Cape African house snake, which is the largest species of house snake, and the females can get up to 4 foot long. And we're lucky enough to have an albino, so it's got the red eye and this awesome coloration. And we did this custom tank basically to try and represent its environment that it would live in Africa. So we have sort of a half mud hut, half naturalistic enclosure, just to try and recreate what it might be like in the wild or semi-wild. It's a super cool species that definitely is on the up.
So moving on to the start of the tubs. This is actually one of the ones that we've produced here at Predatory Exotics. This is one of our baby Kenyan Sandboas. Now this is, I think, actually one of the cooler ones of the two. We've got two babies here, and this is more of a sandy coloured looking one, which was really cool to see us produce. Now we have a lot of Sandboas here at Predatory Exotics, and it is cool to actually have ones that we have made ourselves.
So this is our male Kenyan Sandboa of the normal morph. He's in shed, unfortunately, that's why he's looking that cloudy grey colour. But he's a bit mental, he tends to flip out a lot, so we don't tend to handle this one too much. But you kind of, as I say, his nickname Flipper. But you're kind of seeing how sort of size difference between the babies just then to this one, and then next up we'll show you our adult female.
So moving on to our biggest Kenyan Sandboa. This is our female normal Kenyan Sandboa, and like I'd say the thickest snake that we have here at Predatory Exotics. Look how big she is, especially if you just compare it to the one that Tom just showed you and how small the male is. This is one of our original females, and this one is actually the one that produced the two babies. So when she was pregnant, she was even thicker than she is now.
So this is a super cool Sandboa we have here. This is a Rufescens Sandboa. It's not sure whether this is a separate species to the Kenyan Sandboa or if it's just a different morph, but this is how you get the stripe and the granite Sandboas. You breed this to the Kenyan Sandboa and you get all those funky morphs, and it's just something we're really proud to have in the collection because a lot of people have those new morphs but they don't have the original, and it's something that is rarely seen in the UK or the US or even around the world, so we're super happy to have it as part of our collection of awesome Sandboas.
Now this, moving on, is our male Tartar Sandboa. Now would you actually believe me if I told you this was the same age as our female one you just saw previously? Crazy how different the size is. Now, as we said, we are very lucky to have a pair here at Predatory Exotics that we are attempting to breed, but it is very cool to see the big difference between a male and a female with this species.
So moving on to another species of Sandboa. This is, I know we said the Tartars are the pride of the collection, but this is my favourite species. This is the rough-scaled Sandboa. Again, rarely seen in the hobby. Not sure why. They come from India and Sri Lanka, and they have that awesome zigzag pattern on the back of them. I really like the gold highlights and the grey head, but it's super cool species that stays relatively small. This is a male, and some Sandboas have the rough scales on the back. This one, the rough scales go almost the whole length of the body. So it's a super cool species, and I never thought I'd really get to own this in the collection, but boy, is it a treat to have.
Moving on, another Kenyan Sandboa. Have you guys ever actually seen an albino Kenyan Sandboa though? Look at the colours on this guy. Now obviously this has eliminated all of that brown that you see in the regular Kenyan Sandboa, but kept the orange as well, which looks super sick.
So the last snake in the rack isn't actually a Sandboa for once. This is a Western Hognose snake, probably one of the more popular beginner species, even though obviously it is slightly rear fang venomous. Such a cool species to have, and this one actually is heterozygous for pastel pink. So if we bred it to an albino pastel pink, we could get some babies. And it also means under certain lights, it does have a pinkish hue, which is really cool. And this is a male, that's why it's so small. The females do get a lot chunkier than this. And it's a super cool species that I feel like we just had to add it to our repertoire and our collection.
So this comes to the conclusion of all the reptiles that we currently keep in this reptile room.
So we hope you have enjoyed seeing all of our reptiles from bearded dragons to snakes.
And we hope you guys enjoy all the future content that we are planning to bring out. So don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on that kind of stuff.
But for now, we'll see you in the next one.
Bye guys. Nice.